Before we start, do me a favor. If you're into real stories about life going sideways, people walking out when things get ugly, and building yourself back from nothing, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. This one isn't fast. It's real. It was just after 6 when I walked into our house in Elmhurst. Not late. Not early. Just late enough to feel tired and early enough to still hope the night might be normal. My phone was dead. My head was fried. Another investor call had gone exactly how they'd been going lately: polite voices, fake interest, and then that soft corporate silence that tells you you're not getting a call back. I dropped my laptop bag by the door and stood there for a second, listening. Usually, I'd hear something. The TV low in the background. Madison moving around in the kitchen. A wine glass tapping the counter. Something. But the house was quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Wrong quiet. The kind that makes your gut tighten before your brain catches up. I stepped further inside. That's when I saw her. Madison was in the living room, kneeling on the floor, folding clothes into a suitcase. Not throwing them in, folding them clean, sharp, precise. Like she'd already emotionally left and was just finishing the paperwork. She didn't look up. For a second, I honestly thought maybe she was packing for a trip. A girls' weekend. A conference. Anything normal. Going somewhere? I asked. My voice echoed more than it should have. She finished folding one last shirt, pressed it flat, and zipped the suitcase shut. The sound of that zipper felt loud as hell in a house that suddenly felt empty. Then she stood up and faced me. I want a divorce, Brandon. The words didn't land right away. They just hung there, heavy, like my brain didn't want to translate them. What? I said. She didn't flinch. No tears. No anger. Just calm. Like this was overdue. I'm done, she said. I can't do this anymore. I laughed once, short, sharp, bitter. Do what? I asked. Be married? She crossed her arms. This life. This mess. You're always exhausted, always chasing something that never works out. I took a step closer. Why now? She didn't hesitate. Because everything's falling apart. And I can't be in something that's collapsing. That sentence hit harder than I expected. So that's it? I said. You just pack a bag and bounce while I'm drowning? She looked at me like I'd asked something unreasonable. I'm not your lifeguard, Brandon. I felt something snap in my chest. You knew what this startup would take, I said. You were right there when I went all in. I was there for potential, she replied. Not this. I shook my head. This? I said. You mean the guy who paid off your student loans? The one who kept your art studio alive for 3 years? Her jaw tightened. Stop living in the past. It's all the past, I shot back. That's what built us. She looked away, brushing her hair behind her ear like she was already done listening. I married someone who was going somewhere, she said. Now you're just clinging to a dead idea. That one landed clean. No drama. No yelling. Just truth, sharpened like a blade. The room went silent. Is there someone else? I asked quietly. She froze. Not long. Just long enough. No, she said. I didn't believe her. Not for a second. She grabbed the suitcase handle and rolled it toward the door. I'm not begging, I said. If this is who you are, then go. She paused with her hand on the knob. I knew you wouldn't, she said. Then she opened the door and walked out. No crying. No goodbye. No last look. Just the sound of the door closing behind her. I stood there alone, right in the middle of the house we built together. Same couch. Same pictures. Same walls. Everything still there. Except her. That night, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt alive. It crawled into every corner of the house, sat on the furniture, filled the spaces she used to occupy. I didn't turn on the lights. I dropped into the old leather chair by the fireplace, the one she always said looked too aggressive. The street light outside threw a pale glow across the room. The microwave clock blinked green in the kitchen. I sat there, jacket still on, staring at nothing. Eventually, I stood up and went into the kitchen. Opened the cabinet above the fridge. Pulled out a bottle I'd been saving for a win that never came. The cork popped. Too loud. I didn't grab a glass. Took the bottle back to the chair and sat down again. The first sip burned. Not enough. I checked my phone. Declined proposals. Unread emails. Final notices. Maybe she's right, I muttered. Maybe I'm not that guy anymore. The floor creaked behind me. Just the house settling. I shook my head. But I'm still here. I raised the bottle slightly toward the window. To the last man standing. Before we jump back in, quick reminder. If this story's hitting somewhere personal, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. This one's for the people who didn't quit when everything quit on them. It was still raining when I walked into the office that Tuesday morning. Not that dramatic movie rain. Just that slow, annoying drizzle that soaks your shoes and ruins your mood before the day even starts. The lobby was empty. No receptionist. No delivery boxes. No random startup energy. Just fluorescent lights buzzing overhead and that damp carpet smell we'd been meaning to fix for almost a year. I stood there for a second, key still in my hand, and realized something ugly. No one was excited to be here anymore. Not even me. I took the elevator up to the 5th floor. Our floor. When the doors opened, the echo of my footsteps hit me first. Too loud. Too hollow. Half the desks were gone. Not messy gone. Clean gone. Like someone had already accepted the funeral and just cleared the room. Monitors unplugged. Chairs pushed to the wall. The intern table, completely missing. Even the big whiteboard we used to crowd around was wiped clean, except for a faint smudge where a roadmap used to be. This place didn't look like a startup anymore. It looked like something people were quietly backing away from. Derek was already there. Sitting at the far end with a coffee mug, hoodie sleeves rolled up. Same hoodie he wore when things were tight. His eyes were red. Like he'd been staring at a ceiling all night too. He didn't look up when I walked in. I dropped my bag by my desk. Madison left, I said. He looked up slow, like the words needed time to load. She's gone? Packed a suitcase. Wants a divorce. Sunday night. He leaned back, rubbed the back of his neck. Damn, man, he said quietly. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I said. Me too. Silence sat between us. Thick. Uncomfortable. Then he set his mug down carefully, too carefully, and folded his hands. I've been meaning to talk to you, he said. That sentence always means trouble. My stomach tightened. I think I'm gonna pull out of the company. For a second, I honestly thought I misheard him. You're gonna what? I want to cash out my stake, he said. I've been thinking about it for a while. The rain tapped against the window behind him like a clock counting down something I didn't want to face. With funding drying up, the delays, the market shifting. I just don't see this turning around. I stared at him. You're serious? He nodded. No drama. No shame. I've got an offer lined up, he continued. Product director. Fintech. Stable salary. Real benefits. A lifeboat. I stood up and walked toward the window. The city below looked blurry, like someone smeared the whole world with a wet thumb. You remember what you said when we signed our first lease? I asked. He didn't answer. You said we were partners, I continued. Through thick and thin. I meant it, he said. But this isn't personal. I turned around slowly. That's the problem, I said. It should be. He didn't fight me on it. I'll have the paperwork ready, he said, standing up. You can keep my shares. I just want out clean. He grabbed his jacket, paused at the door. Take care of yourself, B. Then he left. Just like that. First my wife. Then my business partner. Same week. I sat back down in my chair and looked around the room. Empty desks. Dead screens. Ideas that used to feel unstoppable. I was still standing. But I was standing alone. The days after that blurred together. Calls that went straight to voicemail. Emails that never got opened. Meetings cancelled without explanation. At night, the house felt unbearable. Too quiet. Too big. Every room reminded me of something Madison had chosen. Curtains. Paint colors. That stupid throw pillow she loved. I stopped sleeping right. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations I couldn't undo. Sometimes I'd sit in the dark living room with a drink I didn't really want, scrolling through old photos. Her birthday dinner. That lake trip. The hospital hallway selfie after my dad died, her head on my shoulder, my eyes wrecked. I stared at that one the longest. Then I locked my phone and tossed it on the table. I'm not begging, I said out loud. She didn't leave during a fight. She didn't leave in anger. She waited until I was low on money, low on energy, low on hope. Then she walked. The court date came faster than I expected. Gray morning. Cold rain. Same vibe as everything else. The courthouse smelled like polished wood and resignation. I wore the only decent suit I had left. It fit tighter than it used to, I'd lost weight without noticing. Madison was already there. Hair pulled back. Expensive coat. Calm. Her lawyer sat beside her, flipping through papers like this was just another Tuesday. She didn't look at me. I sat next to my lawyer, Clark. Quiet guy. Sharp eyes. Didn't talk much unless it mattered. Madison's lawyer spoke first. Your Honor, my client is entitled to half of all marital assets, including equity in Mr. Harlow's business. They wanted the company. Clark leaned toward me. They're coming for it. I know, I whispered. Let them. When it was my turn, I stood. I'm not here to fight the divorce, I said. She can have the house. The car. There was a pause. All I'm asking, I continued, is to keep the company. What's left of it? The judge looked at the paperwork. The valuation shows significant losses. I know, I said. But it's mine to rebuild. Or bury. For the first time, I looked at Madison. She stared straight ahead. Face unreadable. Her lawyer cleared his throat. My client accepts. The gavel came down. Just like that, it was over. 3 days later, I wasn't homeless. But I was close. Every shirt I owned was folded in the back seat of my car. My laptop bag doubled as a filing cabinet. I was bouncing between couches, burning through favors and pride at the same time. Then my phone buzzed. Nicole. Madison's younger sister. Hey. I heard about everything. If you need a place to crash, my couch is open. No pressure. I stared at the message longer than I should have. Nicole was always the quiet one. The observer. The one who saw things before everyone else talked themselves out of the truth. I typed back. Are you sure? Her reply came fast. Yeah. Come by. Her apartment sat above a florist shop on a quiet block. Old building. Narrow stairs. Warm light. She opened the door before I knocked. "You look like hell," she said. "Yeah," I replied. "That checks out." She stepped aside. "Come in." The place smelled like cinnamon and paint. Her couch already had a blanket and pillow waiting. "I'm not gonna cry," I said, dropping my bag. "But this feels like oxygen." She smiled. "Good. Then breathe." That night, staring at the ceiling fan above her couch, I realized something scary and hopeful at the same time. This wasn't the bottom. This was the ground floor. And I had no idea yet what I was going to build on it. Before we get back into it, if you've ever had a moment where your life didn't explode, it just went silent, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments if you're still standing after your own quiet collapse. The first night on Nicole's couch was weird. Not uncomfortable. Not awkward. Just unfamiliar. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan spinning slow circles above me, listening to the building settle, pipes knocking, a train rumbling somewhere in the distance, the muted city doing its thing outside the window. It wasn't the heavy silence from my house. That silence had teeth. This one felt like someone holding space without asking questions. From the kitchen, I heard the soft clink of a mug on the counter. Nicole moving around quietly, like she didn't want to scare me back into my own head. That hit harder than anything else. No pressure. No advice. No, so what's the plan? Just room. I didn't sleep much. Not really. But for the first time in weeks, I wasn't lying there bracing for impact. The morning light came in gentle. Not blasting through the windows like it had something to prove, just easing its way through half-open blinds. I sat up, feet hitting the floor, realizing I'd slept in yesterday's clothes. Classy. The smell of coffee drifted in from the kitchen. Nicole was sitting at the small table, hair pulled into a messy bun, sketchbook open, mug in hand. "Morning," she said, not looking up. "Morning." That was it. No awkward pause. No forced conversation. Just two humans existing in the same space. "The bathroom's the second door on the right," she added. "Towels clean." I nodded. "Thanks." And yeah, that tiny kindness almost wrecked me. The days started falling into a pattern. I'd wake up early. Earlier than I needed to. Old habit. Set up my laptop at her kitchen table. Send emails. Rewrite pitches. Chase leads that were already ghosts. Most messages went unanswered. Some bounced back. A few got polite, "We're not moving forward at this time," replies that might as well have said "good luck dying quietly." I stared at spreadsheets that didn't move. Numbers frozen in place like they were done believing in me. Nicole left for work every morning around 8. She taught art at a local elementary school. Always left smelling faintly like paint and coffee. Before heading out, she'd usually say something simple. "There's food in the fridge. Lock the door if you go out. Text me if you need anything." Not "Are you okay?" Not "How bad is it?" Anything was enough. One afternoon, I caught myself just staring at my inbox. Not refreshing it. Not typing. Just staring. My chest felt tight. Like someone was slowly dialing down the air. I closed the laptop and leaned back in the chair, rubbing my face with both hands. This was it, wasn't it? No dramatic crash. No big failure headline. Just fading out. The company wasn't dead yet, but it was bleeding, slow and quiet. That scared me more than failure ever did. That night, Nicole made pasta. Cheap pasta. Jar sauce. Garlic bread that probably came frozen. We sat across from each other at the small table. "So," she said casually, twirling her fork. "You always work this much?" I shrugged. "Used to work more." She nodded like that explained everything. "Madison hated that," she said, not accusing. Just stating a fact. I set my fork down. You don't have to defend her, I said. She looked at me, calm. I'm not. Then she added, I just watched you. That stopped me. Watched me? She nodded. Family dinners. Holidays. You'd show up exhausted and still help clean up. Still ask how people were doing. Still show up. She paused. You were always there. You just weren't loud about it. I swallowed. Nobody had said that out loud before. That night, the panic hit. No warning. No trigger I could name. I woke up gasping, chest tight, heart slamming like it was trying to punch its way out. I sat up fast, head spinning, convinced something was wrong, really wrong. Nicole was there before I even realized I'd made a sound. She didn't touch me. Didn't crowd me. She just sat on the floor in front of the couch. Hey, she said softly. Look at me. I did. Breathe with me, she said. In. Out. Slow. I followed. One breath. Then another. The tightness eased. The room stopped spinning. She stayed until my hands stopped shaking. Didn't ask questions. Didn't analyze. Just stayed. When she finally stood up, she said, I'm gonna make tea. Be right back. Like this was normal. Like I was normal. The next morning, something shifted. Not magically. Not dramatically. Just, slightly. I opened my laptop and saw a reply. One reply. A mid-size logistics company. Not flashy. Not huge. Let's talk. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. Then I exhaled. One call didn't save the company. But it reminded me I wasn't invisible. That night, as Nicole rinsed dishes, she glanced over her shoulder. You look different, she said. How so? Like someone who remembered how to stand up. I smiled. Just a little. Maybe. Lying on the couch later, staring at the ceiling fan again, I realized something. This wasn't love. Not yet. This was something quieter. Safety. Trust. A place to breathe while rebuilding yourself from scratch. And for the first time since Madison walked out, I didn't feel like I was disappearing. I felt, paused. And sometimes, that's exactly what saves you. Before we roll back in. If you've ever felt that moment where life almost gives you a break but you're scared to trust it, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. This part matters. That call with the logistics company was scheduled for 9 a.m. I was awake at 6. Not anxious exactly, just alert. Like my body remembered what purpose felt like and didn't want to miss it. Nicole had already left for work, but she'd written a note on the counter in blue ink. Good luck today. You've got this. No heart. No smiley face. Just confidence. I folded the note and slipped it into my pocket like a quiet charm. The call went, fine. Not amazing. Not disastrous. The kind of conversation where no one promises anything but no one hangs up early either. They asked real questions. They challenged assumptions. They pushed back on timelines. I didn't oversell. Didn't beg. Didn't pretend I wasn't tired. For the first time in months, I spoke like someone who had nothing left to prove. When the call ended, I leaned back in the chair and stared at the ceiling. Okay, I said out loud. That didn't kill me. Progress. The next few days stacked up slowly. Follow-up emails. Shared docs. A second call. Nothing explosive, just movement. And movement, when you've been stuck, feels like oxygen. I started going for short walks in the evening. No headphones. Just letting the city noise fill my head instead of my own thoughts. Nicole noticed. You're sleeping more, she said one night as we ate takeout on the couch. Guess I'm less afraid of closing my eyes. She smiled. Not wide. Just enough. But momentum has a way of attracting ghosts. I was at a coffee shop near the office, my old one, when my phone buzzed. Madison. First message in weeks. Can we talk? I stared at it until the screen dimmed. Then buzzed again. It's not about the divorce. Yeah. Sure. I didn't reply. Not right away. I finished my coffee. Let the bitterness sit on my tongue. Then I typed. What do you want? The response came fast. I heard about Derek leaving. I wanted to check in. Check in. That phrase. The audacity almost made me laugh. I'm fine, I typed. Then deleted it. I sent instead. I'm busy. She didn't reply after that. But the damage was done. That night, I found myself pacing Nicole's apartment. She noticed immediately. Madison? She asked. I stopped mid-step. How did you? She only texts when something shifts, Nicole said. She hates losing control. That landed harder than I expected. I don't hate her, Nicole added quickly. But I see her clearly. I exhaled. She asked to talk. And I don't know what she wants, I said. Or why it still messes with me. Nicole leaned against the counter. You don't miss her, she said gently. You miss who you were before everything collapsed. That one cracked something open. The second call with the logistics company went better. They wanted a pilot. Limited scope. Real deadlines. Not a win yet. But not a dream either. I hung up and let myself smile, full smile, for the first time in months. When Nicole got home, I told her. She didn't jump. Didn't clap. She just stepped forward and hugged me. Quick. Firm. Grounding. I knew it, she said. That hug stayed with me longer than it should have. Lines blur quietly. That's how it happens. One late-night conversation about nothing. One shared laugh when the power flickers. One moment standing too close in the kitchen. I noticed the way she listened. Really listened. Like she wasn't waiting for her turn to speak. I noticed the way she never tried to fix me. And I hated myself a little for noticing. This wasn't the plan. Then Madison showed up. No warning. I opened the door to Nicole's apartment and there she was, coat perfect, posture straight, eyes scanning the space like she was evaluating something she used to own. Her gaze landed on me. You look better, she said. I didn't invite her in. What do you want? I asked. She hesitated. That was new. I might have made a mistake, she said. Behind me, I heard a soft step. Nicole. Madison saw her. The room shifted. Two women. Two timelines. One man who hadn't fully closed one door before another cracked open. Madison's eyes narrowed slightly. I didn't know you'd moved on, she said. I swallowed. I didn't, I said. I survived. Silence stretched. And in that moment, I knew something was about to change. Not cleanly. Not painlessly. But permanently. Before we jump back in. If you've ever had to choose between the past that hurt you and the future that scares you, hit like, subscribe, and stay right here. This part cuts deep. Madison didn't step inside. That was the first thing I noticed. She stood in the doorway like she wasn't sure she was allowed to cross it anymore, like the threshold itself had become a boundary she didn't know how to negotiate. Nicole stayed behind me. Not hiding. Not competing. Just present. What are you doing here? I asked again, calmer this time. Madison took a breath. Slow. Controlled. I heard you might still land that logistics deal, she said. I thought, Maybe we should talk before things move too fast. There it was. Not us. Not how are you? Before things move too fast. I let out a short laugh. You left when everything stopped moving, I said. Now you're worried about speed? Her jaw tightened. I was scared, she said. I didn't know how bad it would get. You knew, I replied. You just didn't want to feel it. Nicole shifted slightly behind me. Madison noticed. Her eyes flicked toward her. And who is this? She asked. I didn't answer right away. This is Nicole, I said finally. She let me stay here when I had nowhere else to go. Madison's smile was polite. Thin. Of course she did. Nicole stepped forward just enough to be seen. You should say what you came to say, she told Madison. And then leave. Not rude. Not aggressive. Clear. Madison looked back at me. I miss you, she said. I didn't think losing you would feel like this. I stared at her, trying to find the man who would have folded at those words. He wasn't there anymore. You don't miss me, I said quietly. You miss control. Her eyes flashed. That's not fair. No, I replied. What you did wasn't fair. Silence fell heavy. Finally, she nodded once. Call me, she said. When you're ready to talk. She turned and walked away without another word. The door closed. Nicole exhaled. That was a lot. Yeah, I said. That was closure pretending to be concern. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from panic this time, from clarity. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation. Every word. Every look. Madison didn't show up because she loved me. She showed up because she saw me standing again. And something about that felt worse than her leaving. The next week hit hard. The logistics pilot moved faster than expected. Deadlines tightened. Expectations rose. Suddenly people were emailing me again, investors circling like they smelled movement. Pressure came back. But this time I wasn't collapsing under it. I was carrying it. Nicole noticed the difference. You're not disappearing into it, she said one night as I packed my laptop bag. I don't want to lose this again, I admitted. She nodded. Then don't. Simple. Not easy. Madison texted again. Then called. I didn't respond. Each ignored message felt like lifting weight I didn't know I could lift. Not anger. Choice. One evening, after a brutal day of calls, I found Nicole sitting on the fire escape, sketchbook on her knees. The city glowed orange around us. I need to say something, I told her. She looked up, patient. I'm not ready to be anything, I said. I'm still rebuilding. She didn't flinch. I know, she said. I'm not asking you to be. That's when it hit me. She wasn't waiting. She was choosing me, as I was. That scared me more than Madison ever did. The pilot launch date was set. 2 weeks out. If this worked, the company lived. If it didn't, I didn't know what came next. That night, Madison sent one last message. I see you've moved on. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. I didn't move on. I moved forward. I blocked her number. Not out of spite. Out of self-respect. Later, sitting beside Nicole in the quiet apartment, I realized something solid had locked into place. You don't owe access to people who left during the storm. You don't owe explanations to people who watched you drown and waited to see if you'd float. Some doors don't close loudly. They just stop opening. Before we jump in. If you've ever had one single day that decided whether you move forward or disappear completely, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in. This is that day. The pilot launch was scheduled for Monday at 8 a.m. I didn't sleep Sunday night. Not because I was anxious, but because my brain wouldn't shut up. Every worst-case scenario lined up like it wanted a turn. Servers crashing. Clients backing out. Me standing there explaining failure for the 100th time. At 5:30 a.m., I gave up on sleep. I showered, dressed, and stood in front of the bathroom mirror longer than necessary. Dark circles under my eyes. Face thinner than before. But my posture was different. I looked like someone who'd been through something, and lived. Nicole was already awake, sitting at the table with coffee. "You're up early," she said. Didn't want to risk being late to my own resurrection. She smiled softly and slid a mug toward me. "No matter what happens today," she said, "you showed up. That counts." I nodded. It counted more than she knew. By 7:45, I was in the office. Our office. It still felt too empty, but today, it felt intentional. Clean. Focused. The pilot-client team logged in one by one. Faces filling the screen. Neutral expressions. Professional distance. No hype. Just expectation. I walked them through the system. Calm. Steady. No overselling. Then came the live test. The longest 15 seconds of my life. The screen froze. My stomach dropped. A quiet murmur rippled through the call. Then, movement. Data loaded. Routes optimized. Numbers snapped into place like they'd been waiting for permission. One of the client leads leaned forward. "Run it again," he said. We did. Same result. Another pause. "This could save us millions annually," he said. I muted my mic and exhaled like I'd been underwater. The call ended without fireworks. No congratulations. No promises. Just this. "We'll be in touch." Normally, that phrase meant death. Today, it felt different. The crash came an hour later. The system flagged a data mismatch. A flaw we hadn't stress-tested enough. If the client caught it before we fixed it, the deal was over. I sat alone in the office, hands shaking slightly as I dug into the code, cross-checking logs. Old habits kicked in. Hyperfocus. Tunnel vision. 3 hours disappeared. When I finally fixed it, my back ached and my hands felt numb. I leaned back and laughed, quietly, like a crazy person. "You almost had me," I said to no one. That evening, I walked home instead of taking the train. Needed air. Needed to feel my feet on the ground. Halfway there, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "This is Daniel from the logistics group," the voice said. "We want to move forward." I stopped walking. "We'll start with a 6-month contract," he continued. "Full rollout if metrics hold." I leaned against a brick wall, city noise blurring around me. "Understood," I said. "We won't disappoint." When the call ended, I didn't cheer. I just stood there, eyes closed, letting the weight finally drop. Nicole was on the couch when I got back. She looked up at me, searching my face. I nodded. She covered her mouth for half a second, then crossed the room and hugged me. Longer this time. "You did it," she said. "We did," I replied. Later that night, alone on the fire escape, I realized something unexpected. I wasn't afraid of failing anymore. I was afraid of succeeding, of being visible again. Of being tested again. But this time I wasn't alone. And that changed everything. Before we go on, if you've ever noticed how life gets loud again the moment you finally catch your breath, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. This part isn't about money. It's about pressure. The first payment hit our account on a Friday morning. Not a fortune. Not a miracle. But real money. I stared at the screen longer than I should have, making sure it wasn't a mistake. After months of scraping by, watching numbers finally move in the right direction felt unreal, like touching something solid after free-falling. I closed my laptop and leaned back. So this is what stability feels like, I muttered. It felt fragile. The emails started coming in fast. Former contacts. Old investors. People who always believed but somehow disappeared when things got ugly. Saw the news, looks like you're back. Would love to reconnect. Let's grab coffee. Back. Like I'd gone on vacation instead of nearly losing everything. I didn't reply right away. Success attracts attention, but it also attracts amnesia. Nicole noticed the shift before I said anything. You're getting quieter, she said one night as we ate dinner. Thinking, I replied. She tilted her head. We're carrying too much again? That landed. I don't want to mess this up, I admitted. Not the company. Not this. She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, I need to tell you something too. My chest tightened. She set her fork down. I was offered a position, she said. Full-time art coordinator. Better pay. Real benefits. That's amazing, I said automatically. It's in Portland. There it was. Distance. Timing. Life doing what it does best. When would you leave? I asked. 2 months, she said. If I take it. I nodded slowly. Okay. She studied my face. That's it? I'm not going to ask you to stay, I said. You didn't save me just to stop your own life. Her eyes softened. That weekend, I went back to the office alone. Sat at my desk, lights low, city humming outside. I thought about Derek. About Madison. About how quickly people exit when fear shows up. And how quietly they return when things improve. My phone buzzed. A LinkedIn notification. Madison liked your update. I stared at it. Then closed the app. Some chapters don't need commentary. The pressure built fast. New client demands. Compliance reviews. Scaling questions I wasn't ready for yet. I caught myself skipping meals again. Staying late. Carrying the weight like it was all on me. One night, Nicole said it out loud. You're slipping. I'm handling it, I replied too quickly. She didn't argue. She just said, don't disappear again. That one hurt. Because she was right. A week later, an investor meeting went sideways. They wanted aggressive growth. Faster expansion. Risk I wasn't ready to take. This isn't who we are, I said. This is how you win, one of them replied. I walked out without agreeing. Old me would have folded. New me didn't. That night, Nicole packed sketchbooks into a box. Just organizing, she said. But we both knew. Time was moving. And neither of us could stop it. Lying on the couch later, staring at the ceiling fan one more time, I realized something heavy. Winning doesn't end the struggle. It just changes its shape. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't rebuilding your life. It's deciding who gets to walk forward with you when the lights come back on. Before we step back in. If you've ever reached a moment where no option feels right, but doing nothing feels worse, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. This part is about choosing without guarantees. Nicole didn't tell me right away. That's how I knew it was serious. She moved slower that week. More thoughtful. Like every action had weight now. She still laughed, still cooked dinner, still asked how my day went, but something underneath had shifted. The air felt packed. Like a suitcase that wouldn't quite close. One night, after I shut my laptop for the first time before midnight, I found her on the fire escape again. Sketchbook open, pencil resting idle in her fingers. You're not drawing, I said. She smiled faintly. I already know what it would look like. I sat beside her. The city buzzed below us, careless and alive. I accepted the offer, she said. No drama. No build-up. Just truth. I nodded, slow. When do you leave? 6 weeks. The word sat between us, solid and unavoidable. That's the right move, I said. She looked at me. Really looked. Say it again, she said. And mean it. I met her eyes. It's the right move, I repeated. For you. She exhaled, like she'd been holding that breath for days. The weeks after that felt borrowed. Like we were living inside parentheses. We didn't define anything. Didn't promise anything. We just showed up. Morning coffee. Shared silence. Late night talks that drifted between light and heavy without warning. One night, she asked, "Do you ever think about what happens after?" All the time, I said. And? I don't know, I admitted. But I know I don't want to go back to surviving. She nodded. Me neither. The company kept growing. Not explosively, responsibly. I hired 2 people. Carefully. Slowly. For the first time, I wasn't building to impress anyone. I was building to last. That mattered. Madison tried one last time. An email. Long, emotional. Apologetic. She talked about therapy. About fear. About timing. About us. I read it once. Then archived it. Not anger. Just clarity. Nicole's last week came too fast. Boxes stacked by the door. Art supplies wrapped carefully. A life compressed into cardboard. On her final night, we sat on the floor eating takeout, backs against the couch. This is the part where people promise to visit, she said lightly. I smiled. We both know how that usually goes. She leaned her head against my shoulder. But I'm glad we didn't rush, she said. This mattered. It still does, I replied. She nodded. I know. The morning she left, the apartment felt different. Not empty. Resolved. At the door, she hugged me, long, steady. Whatever happens next, she said, don't shrink again. I swallowed. I won't. She smiled once more, then walked away. I didn't chase her. I didn't fall apart. I stood there and let the moment exist. That night, alone again, I sat on the couch and looked around. Different silence now. Not painful. Honest. I realized something important. Not every love story is meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach you how to breathe again. Before we step in. If you've ever wondered whether the right choices really pay off later, not immediately, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. This part is about distance and perspective. A year passed. Not all at once, slowly. Quietly. The way real change always does. The company didn't explode. It stabilized. Then it grew. 3 clients turned into 7. 7 turned into 15. Nothing flashy. Just consistency. Systems that worked. People who stayed. I moved out of Nicole's apartment into a small place of my own. Nothing fancy. Clean lines. Sunlight in the morning. A place that felt earned. Success didn't make me louder. It made me calmer. I stopped chasing validation. Stopped explaining myself. The world noticed anyway. Industry panels. Speaking invites. Articles that framed my comeback like it was some overnight miracle. I let them talk. They weren't there when I slept on a couch wondering if I'd failed at life. One afternoon, an email came through. Subject, Portland. My chest tightened before I even opened it. Hey. I'm back in town for a conference. If you're open to it, I'd love to see you. Nicole. I stared at the screen longer than necessary. Then typed. Yeah. I'd like that. We met at a quiet cafe near the river. She looked grounded. Shorter hair. Confident posture. Eyes that had seen new places. You look good, she said. So do you. We talked easily. About work. About life. About who we'd become. No regret. No tension. At one point, she smiled and said, "You didn't shrink." I laughed softly. You kept your word. Later that week, another message arrived. Madison requested a meeting. I didn't ignore this one. I agreed. Closure isn't weakness, it's maintenance. We met in a public place. Neutral territory. She looked different. Softer. Older. Less certain. I'm glad you're doing well, she said. I am, I replied. And meant it. She talked. I listened. She apologized. Properly this time. No excuses. No rewrites. When she finished, she asked, "Is there any part of you that still wonders?" I considered it honestly. No, I said. But I wish you well. Her eyes filled, not dramatically. Just real. That mattered. That night, walking home, I realized something heavy and light at the same time. I didn't need to prove anything anymore. Not to Madison. Not to the industry. Not even to my past self. I'd already answered the hardest question. Nicole and I didn't make promises. We didn't rush. We stayed in touch. And maybe that was enough. Standing in my apartment, city lights glowing outside, I raised a glass, not in celebration, but acknowledgement. To the people who left. To the people who stayed. To the version of me who almost gave up. You didn't lose. You learned. Before we finish. If you stayed through every part of this story, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment that just says "still here." Because that's what this ending is about. There wasn't a big moment where everything clicked. No fireworks. No victory speech. No scene where the camera pulls back and the music swells. It happened quietly. On a random Tuesday morning. I was standing in my kitchen, sunlight hitting the counter just right, coffee steaming in my hand. My phone buzzed with emails, normal ones. Work stuff. Logistics. Payroll. Nothing urgent. Nothing dramatic. And for the first time in years, my chest wasn't tight. That's when I realized it. This was it. Not the dream I sold people once. Not the life I thought would impress anyone. But the life that fit. The company ran without me hovering. That mattered. I trusted my team. Trusted the systems. Trusted myself enough to step back sometimes. Success didn't own me anymore. I owned my time. Some evenings, I worked late. Others, I shut the laptop at 6 and went for walks with no destination. I learned the names of my neighbors. I learned which silence was healthy and which wasn't. That's growth nobody posts about. Nicole and I stayed connected. Not every day. Not obsessively. Just, honestly. Sometimes it was a call. Sometimes weeks passed. One night, she said, "I don't feel like I'm waiting anymore." Neither did I. We didn't label it. We didn't rush it. We let it be what it was, two people who chose themselves first and still chose to stay connected. That felt adult. Real. Madison became a memory that no longer burned. Just existed. I wished her well. And meant it. That surprised me. Forgiveness wasn't for her. It was for me. One evening, I found the old note Nicole had written that first week, "You've got this." The ink was slightly faded. I smiled. Turns out, she was right. But not in the way either of us expected. The truth is, rock bottom didn't save me. Responsibility did. Choosing not to disappear. Choosing not to become bitter. Choosing to build slower, cleaner, truer. And choosing to walk away from anyone who only wanted access to me when the lights were back on. If there's anything this story taught me, it's this. People will leave when things fall apart. Some will come back when things improve. But the ones who matter, the real ones, are the people who give you space to become yourself again. And sometimes, that person is you. That night, standing by the window, city breathing outside, I raised my coffee mug, not a glass. No celebration. Just acknowledgement. I didn't win. I survived honestly. And that turned out to be enough.